What you're about to hear may completely change the way you interpret silence in relationships. Because when someone suddenly goes quiet after opening up to you, it's rarely random. It's a psychological shift that most people misunderstand. And if you've ever been left confused, hurt, or questioning yourself when someone pulls away, this may finally give you the clarity you've been searching for. You're about to understand the real reason someone retreats right after becoming emotionally vulnerable, and why their silence often says louder things than their words ever could. By the time you reach the end of this video, you'll not only understand why this happens, but you'll be able to recognize the hidden fears behind someone's silence, the internal battle they're trying to manage, and how you can respond in a way that protects your emotional well-being while also giving the relationship room to grow. Most people react to silence by assuming they've done something wrong, but that assumption is often the exact opposite of the truth. Stay with me, because one insight later in this video will forever change how you interpret emotional withdrawal. When someone opens up and then suddenly becomes distant, the first thing you need to understand is that vulnerability often creates a psychological hangover, an emotional crash that happens because the brain isn't used to that level of exposure. Sharing difficult truths fires up the limbic system, and once the moment passes, the person may feel exposed or regretful, even if what they shared was honest. Think of it like sharing too much in a moment of honesty and then thinking about it later, replaying the conversation, and feeling anxious about how it was received. That anxiety can lead to silence, not because they want to push you away, but because they're overwhelmed by how close they just allowed you to get. This happens more often with people who grew up in environments where vulnerability was treated as weakness, or where emotional expression wasn't rewarded. Another reason this silence appears is what psychologists call emotional recoil. It's the same instinct you have when you touch something hot. You pull back. Emotional intimacy works the same way for someone who isn't used to it. They open up, feel a wave of closeness, then immediately panic because closeness to them equals danger or loss of control. I'll explain why this panic happens in a moment. So keep watching, because this is one of the most misunderstood parts of relationship behavior. Sometimes the silence is a form of processing rather than avoidance. Some people need time to think, especially after revealing something personal. They're trying to make sense of their own emotions, not yours. Imagine someone finally admitting their fears, their past, or their insecurities. The second they stop talking, their brain starts analyzing every detail. Did I say too much? Do they see me differently now? Am I still safe? That internal storm can make them temporarily shut down because they're trying to regain their emotional balance before reconnecting. And this doesn't mean they don't care. It often means they care more than they expected. But here's something that may surprise you. Silence after vulnerability can also be a subconscious test. Not a manipulative one, but an instinctive way of seeing whether you'll respond with pressure or patience. People who fear abandonment or rejection often go silent as a way of protecting themselves. If you react with anger, accusations, or neediness, it confirms their fear that opening up was a mistake. If you respond calmly, they start to feel safer. Your reaction becomes data for them, information that tells them whether you're a safe space or a risk. Most people never realize they're being evaluated at this moment, which is why this silence feels so confusing. In rare cases, silence shows up because what they opened up about triggered old wounds, memories or emotions they haven't fully healed. If someone starts talking about childhood trauma, past heartbreak, or painful experiences, they may retreat afterward because their brain is protecting them. It's like their mind shuts down emotionally to stop them from feeling too much at once. This is common in people with anxious avoidant patterns, where they crave closeness but fear the intensity of it at the same time. That internal contradiction makes silence feel like the only safe option. Let me give you a quick story to make this clearer. A man once shared with his partner that he always felt unworthy of love because of his upbringing. It was the first time he had said it out loud to anyone. Right after that conversation, he became quiet for 2 days. His partner thought she had done something wrong, that she had accidentally pushed him too far. But in reality, he had spent those 2 days replaying the moment in his mind, questioning why he said it, wondering whether she would see him differently, and battling the fear that she would walk away now that she knew the truth. When he finally resurfaced, he apologized and said, "I wasn't shutting you out. I was trying to convince myself that letting you in wasn't a mistake." That is what silence often looks like from the inside. Sometimes the silence isn't about fear, it's about the discomfort of being seen. Many people spend years building emotional walls that protect them. When they open up, even for a moment, those walls collapse, and it leaves them feeling exposed. Silence becomes a way to rebuild those walls piece by piece. It's not personal, it's an emotional reflex. This is why pushing them to talk too quickly can backfire. They're not ready yet, and pressure can make them retreat further. Another psychologically rooted reason behind this silence is fear of dependence. When someone starts to rely on you emotionally, even in small ways, it can trigger the belief that they're losing control of their independence. They worry about needing you too much, or about letting someone else have emotional power over them. So they pull back, not because they don't want you, but because they're terrified of how much they actually do. And here's a counterintuitive point that many people overlook. Silence can sometimes be a sign of respect. If the person is dealing with intense emotions or personal conflict, they may not want to project that confusion onto you. Instead of reacting impulsively, they choose to step back so they don't say something harmful or defensive. It's their attempt to avoid damaging the connection. Another factor is simple but powerful. After opening up, they might feel the dynamic shifting. They sense that you now understand them more deeply, and that creates the possibility of deeper intimacy. For someone who has been hurt before, that possibility is terrifying. Silence becomes a way of slowing things down so they don't feel like they're spiraling into emotional territory they're not ready for. There's also the fear of misinterpretation. After opening up, they might worry that you misunderstood something they said, or that you'll judge them, or that their vulnerability will be held against them in the future. This fear often comes from past experiences where opening up led to betrayal or conflict. That history shapes their reaction today. Now, here's the insight I promised you earlier, the one that changes everything. Silence after vulnerability is rarely rejection. It is self-protection. It is emotional regulation. It is the mind trying to balance openness with safety. When you understand this, you stop blaming yourself for someone else's internal struggle. The best way to handle this silence is not to chase, accuse, or demand answers. Instead, give gentle space while signaling emotional steadiness. Something as simple as, "I'm here whenever you're ready," can work wonders. It removes pressure while showing support, and it helps rebuild their sense of emotional safety. But here's the part most people miss. Your role isn't to fix their silence. Your role is to understand it, honor your boundaries, and pay attention to whether the silence is temporary or a pattern. Occasional emotional withdrawal is human. Chronic withdrawal is a red flag. Knowing the difference protects you. At the end of the day, silence after opening up isn't the end of a connection. It's a moment of emotional recalibration. It can lead to a stronger bond if handled with patience, or it can reveal deeper incompatibilities if it keeps happening. What matters is recognizing that silence speaks. It tells you about their fears, their wounds, their defenses, and sometimes even their hope for something real. If this breakdown helped you understand this behavior more clearly, make sure you like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more insights into relationships and psychology.